There was a time when fear dictated the thoughts and actions of many, a time when doubt crept into even the strongest hearts, whispering that the dream of freedom was too distant, the climb too steep. In such moments, the true struggle was not with chains or walls, but with the battle raging quietly within, the battle to remain whole in the face of division, to stay hopeful in the presence of despair. The journey to justice is not only about laws or leaders. It begins in the unseen victories we win over ourselves. It is about silencing the voice that says, asterisk, you are not enough, asterisk, and raising the one that dares to believe, asterisk, you are more than what they see. Asterisk, every time a soul chooses courage over comfort, dignity over degradation, it becomes a step forward, not just for one, but for all. The most powerful weapon is not forged of iron, but of spirit. The refusal to hate in return, the insistence on seeing the humanity in those who deny yours, this is the ultimate act of resistance. And when enough hearts carry this strength, no prison can contain it, no system can stand against it. True freedom is not given. It is claimed in the quiet decisions to forgive, to keep walking, to love despite the scars. That is the real revolution, the one that begins not in the streets, but in the soul. Let us remember, no enemy is greater than the fear that paralyzes the will, and no victory is sweeter than the one where a person reclaims their power, not to dominate others, but to define themselves. In that moment, the chains fall, not from the body, but from the mind, and that is how freedom truly begins. The greatest struggle any individual can face is not necessarily external. It is not always the visible chains or the harsh voices of those who seek to dominate. It is the quiet, persistent battle that takes place within the heart and mind, this internal conflict, the struggle to remain steadfast when everything around seems to fall apart, is the truest test of character and strength. Fear, doubt, and hopelessness are enemies that do not shout from the outside, but whisper from within. They creep in silently, often unnoticed at first, and grow in the shadows of pain and uncertainty. Fear is a powerful force. It does not need an army or a weapon to do its work. It thrives in silence and solitude, where it convinces a person that they are alone, that their voice does not matter, and that the challenges ahead are too great to overcome. It tells you to stand still when you should be moving forward, to be silent when you need to speak. It convinces you to shrink, to accept less, to believe that your dream is foolish. And this is why the internal battle is so dangerous, because when fear is allowed to guide our choices, we begin to build our own cages. Doubt, too, is a quiet destroyer. It questions your worth, your power, your purpose. It is not always loud or aggressive. Sometimes it sounds like a friend, like a protective voice urging caution, but it chips away at confidence, at vision, at hope. It tells you that you are not ready, not smart enough, not brave enough. And over time, if it goes unchecked, doubt builds a wall so high that even the brightest light struggles to shine through. The internal battle is not just about suppressing these voices. It is about recognizing them, facing them, and choosing to rise above them. It is about acknowledging fear and moving anyway. It is about hearing doubt and still deciding to believe in yourself. It is about choosing hope when despair would be easier. That choice to stand in your truth when everything says otherwise is the most courageous thing a person can do. This is where true change begins, not in revolutions or rallies, but in the quiet moment when one person decides they will not be broken from within. When a heart says, I will not surrender to fear, it becomes a force far more powerful than any oppression. And when enough individuals win that battle within themselves, they create a collective strength that no system, no injustice, no force can withstand. The internal victory is the seed from which all lasting freedom grows. It is invisible to the eye, but undeniable in its impact. Freedom does not begin with laws passed in Parliament or speeches made from podiums. It does not begin with the fall of a regime or the opening of prison gates. True freedom begins with something far more personal and profound. It begins with self-belief. Before anyone can be free in the world, they must first be free in their own mind. They must believe with unshakable conviction that they are worthy of dignity, of respect, of opportunity. Without that belief, even the most liberated surroundings cannot offer true freedom. When someone believes in themselves, they are no longer bound by the expectations or judgments of others. They no longer measure their worth by how they are treated, but by who they know themselves to be. This kind of belief is not arrogance, it is not loud or boastful, it is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It allows a person to walk with their head high even when the world tries to push them down. It fuels resilience, courage, and persistence. Self-belief is often the first casualty in an unjust system. When people are told repeatedly that they are lesser, when they are denied the chance to dream or to speak or to learn, the damage does not only show in their circumstances, it takes root in the soul. Oppression is most effective when it convinces the oppressed that they deserve it. That is why reclaiming self-belief is an act of resistance. To say, "I am more than what they say I am," is to challenge every system that has tried to erase your worth. This internal belief is what drives people to stand up even after being knocked down. It is what allows someone to speak truth in a room full of lies, to take a step forward when the path is unclear. It is what keeps dreams alive in places where hope has been deliberately suffocated. And that is why self-belief is so powerful. It ignites the first spark of freedom long before anyone else recognizes it. When individuals begin to believe in themselves, something remarkable happens. They inspire others to do the same. One person's quiet confidence becomes another's permission to hope. A single act of self-respect can ripple outward and awaken a community. And soon that belief grows strong enough to shake foundations and shift the course of history. Freedom, then, is not a gift to be given. It is a truth to be claimed. It is something that lives within, waiting to be awakened. And once it is, no power on earth can take it away. That is why every great movement begins with a simple, powerful decision to believe in one's own worth, even when the world refuses to see it. Courage is often misunderstood. Many think it means being without fear, standing tall with no tremble in your voice or hesitation in your step. But real courage is something much deeper, more human, and more powerful. It is not the absence of fear, it is the resistance to it. It is the decision to act in spite of the fear, to keep moving forward even when the ground beneath you feels uncertain and the outcome unclear. In moments of injustice and struggle, fear is natural. It is human to be afraid when your safety is threatened, when your dreams are at risk, when your voice seems too small against the roar of oppression. But courage is what rises in those very moments, not to eliminate fear, but to carry on in its presence. It says, "I feel the weight of this fear, but I will not be crushed by it." This is the kind of courage that has moved mountains, broken chains, and changed the course of history. Courage is choosing to hold on to dignity when you are surrounded by degradation. It is refusing to bow your head when the world tries to shame you. It is speaking the truth even when your voice shakes, even when you know that truth may not be welcomed or understood. It is the act of standing firm in your values when compromise would be easier, safer, or more convenient. In the face of oppression, courage can take many forms. It can be a protester raising a sign. It can be a student daring to dream of a future they've been told is not theirs. It can be a parent teaching their child to walk proud. It can be silence, held with strength, when words would betray the soul, and it can be words, spoken clearly, when silence would protect injustice. What makes courage so transformative is that it is contagious. When one person steps into fear and chooses to act with bravery, it lights a path for others to follow. That single act of resistance can awaken hope in hearts that had long been silent. It reminds others that fear, though real, is not undefeatable, that it can be faced, lived with, and even overcome. Ultimately, courage is not a dramatic moment, it is a way of being. It is a commitment to truth, to justice, to love, and to the belief that something better is possible. It is waking up each day and deciding, again and again, to be your full self in a world that may not welcome it. And that choice, made repeatedly and quietly, is the foundation of every lasting movement toward freedom. It is proof that fear does not win unless we surrender, and that those who choose courage, even trembling, are the ones who change the world. Inner strength is one of the most powerful forces a human being can possess. Unlike physical strength or outward power, it cannot be taken away by force, nor can it be measured by status or wealth. It is something forged in silence, often through pain, and it reveals itself in moments when everything else seems to fall apart. This kind of strength is not loud or boastful. It is quiet, steady, and deeply rooted. It is what allows a person to remain unshaken even when the world around them is trying to break them. True inner strength is born in struggle. It is cultivated through hardship, loss, rejection, and injustice. It is shaped not by the ease of one's life, but by the challenges faced and the choices made in response to them. When someone is denied their freedom, their rights, or their dignity, the natural response may be despair. But inner strength steps in to say, I may not control my circumstances, but I will not let them control me. That is a powerful stance, one that no external force can easily defeat. This strength shows up in many forms. It is the ability to hold onto your identity when others try to erase it. It is choosing kindness in a world that often rewards cruelty. It is keeping faith when everything tells you to give up. Inner strength is the foundation that allows people to endure injustice without losing their humanity. It is what keeps the spirit alive, even when the body is tired or the heart is heavy. One of the most powerful things about inner strength is that it often goes unnoticed until it becomes unignorable. It's found in the worker who shows up every day with dignity despite being undervalued, in the student who keeps learning even when the odds are against them, in the leader who speaks for the voiceless, knowing full well the risk it carries. These acts, though quiet, are revolutionary. They are testaments to the unbreakable power that lives within. No system of oppression, no matter how violent or long-lasting, can fully conquer a person who has claimed their inner strength. That's why oppressive systems work so hard to break the spirit, to make people forget their worth, to make them feel powerless. But when individuals recognize the force within them, they become unstoppable. They understand that even if they are silenced, their truth still lives. Even if they are imprisoned, their soul remains free. Inner strength does not mean the absence of pain or fear, it means choosing to rise above it. It is the quiet conviction that one's life has value, purpose, and power, no matter what others say. And when that strength is shared, when people lift one another with it, it becomes a collective force capable of transforming not just individuals, but entire societies. It is proof that the strongest weapons are not made of metal, but of will, courage, and unshakable belief in one's own humanity. Forgiveness and humanity are among the most profound acts of resistance that a person can choose. In a world filled with injustice, violence, and division, it might seem like the most natural response is anger or retaliation. Yet, the act of forgiving is not about letting go of the pain or pretending that the hurt did not happen. It is about choosing to rise above the cycle of hatred and revenge that keeps people trapped in conflict. Forgiveness is a radical decision to free oneself from the chains of bitterness and to reclaim one's power in a situation that otherwise seeks to strip it away. At its core, forgiveness is an act of strength, not weakness. It takes immense courage to forgive someone who has wronged you, especially when the wrong is deep and the pain is lasting. In many ways, Forgiveness is one of the most difficult and transformative choices a person can make. It is not forgetting the injustice or condoning harmful actions, but rather refusing to be defined or bound by them. By forgiving, you break the power that the hurt has over you. You reclaim your peace, your freedom, and your ability to move forward. Forgiveness, however, extends beyond the personal. It has the power to heal communities and societies as well. It can break cycles of violence and vengeance that have persisted for generations. When one person chooses forgiveness, it can spark a ripple effect, creating space for others to do the same. In this way, forgiveness becomes a collective act, one that spreads and grows, creating an environment where healing can begin and where understanding, rather than anger, becomes the foundation for rebuilding. But forgiveness is not easy. It requires a willingness to see the humanity in others, even when they have hurt you deeply. It means acknowledging that, while people may commit harmful acts, they too are human, flawed, and capable of change. This does not justify their actions, but it opens the door to empathy. Forgiveness challenges us to see beyond the offense to the person beneath it. It asks us to move from a place of retribution to a place of restoration, both for ourselves and for others. One of the greatest misconceptions about forgiveness is that it is something done for the benefit of the person who has caused harm. In truth, forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself. It frees your heart from the burden of carrying resentment and anger. When you hold on to bitterness, it is like carrying a heavy weight that drags you down, often without the other person even knowing it. By letting go of that weight, you allow yourself the space to heal, to grow, and to live with a renewed sense of freedom. Choosing humanity, even in the face of deep hurt, is also a profound act of resistance. It is a rejection of the forces that seek to dehumanize and divide. When people respond to cruelty with kindness, to hatred with love, they send a message that goes beyond the individual moment. They send a message that says, "We will not be broken by this. We will not become the very thing we despise." This choice to preserve one's humanity, even when surrounded by dehumanization, is revolutionary in itself. It is a reminder that no matter the pain or the conflict, we are all connected by our shared humanity. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting or excusing. It means deciding that you will no longer allow the wrong to control your future. It means choosing to live in the fullness of your humanity and not letting bitterness rob you of your peace. And when enough people make this choice collectively, they build a world where love, understanding, and respect can flourish, where healing, not harm, becomes the response to injustice. In that world, humanity does not simply survive, it thrives. Freedom is often thought of as something external, something that is given, won, or granted by the powers that be. It's easy to think of freedom in terms of laws, rights, and privileges that are bestowed upon individuals. However, true freedom is something far deeper and more personal. It is not something that can be simply handed over by authorities or governments. It is something that must be claimed, owned, and embodied by the individual. Freedom begins in the heart, in the mind, and in the soul. It is a decision, a personal revolution, that happens when a person decides they will not be bound by the circumstances or limitations imposed upon them. True freedom arises when a person stands firm in the truth of their own worth and power, regardless of what the world may say. This freedom is not defined by external conditions, but by how we choose to live within those conditions. It is not about waiting for the world to change to fit our needs, but about rising above those needs to live authentically and fully. It is the realization that we have the power to define our own narrative, regardless of the stories others have told us or the obstacles in our path. True freedom is about claiming the right to be ourselves, to dream our own dreams, and to walk our own path. even when the world tries to push us into a box or silence our voices. The journey toward true freedom requires resilience. It requires us to stand up time and time again, even when we are knocked down. It calls for us to rise above the noise and the pressure, to remain unwavering in the face of opposition. It asks us to trust in our own strength, our own values, and our own capacity for growth. And while this journey may not be easy, it is always worth it. The more we claim our freedom internally, the more we begin to see its reflection in the external world. When we refuse to be confined by the expectations of others, when we assert our worth and our right to exist authentically, we open the door for others to do the same. Our individual acts of freedom become part of a larger movement, one that spreads from person to person and touches every corner of society. When enough individuals claim their personal freedom, a collective power is born. The more we choose to live with authenticity, dignity, and purpose, the more we create a world where those qualities are respected and celebrated. It is not enough to wait for external change. We must be the change. We must live as if we are already free, even when the world around us does not reflect that reality. By doing so, we inspire others to do the same, and in this shared journey toward freedom, we can build a society where every individual is free to be their fullest self. True freedom is a collective force. It grows as more people awaken to their own worth and the limitless potential within them. It is realized when people come together, united by the belief that they are worthy of respect, love, and opportunity, no matter their background, race, gender, or circumstance. It is seen in every person who chooses to live with authenticity, to pursue their dreams without fear, and to treat others with kindness and dignity. In the end, the most powerful form of freedom is the one we give ourselves. It is the freedom to define who we are, to live according to our values, and to believe in our own potential, regardless of what the world may tell us. The true battle is not with the external forces that seek to constrain us, but with the internal forces that convince us we are not enough. But once we win that battle within, once we claim our freedom in our hearts, no external force can ever take it away. And when enough people make this choice together, we create a world where freedom is not a privilege for the few, but a right for all. So let us rise to this challenge. Let us choose freedom, real, authentic freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all. Let us live with the courage to stand firm in our truth, to forgive, to love, and to believe in the infinite possibilities that lie within each of us. And in doing so, we will ignite a spark that will set the world aflame